Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Supergirl. A great episode. A lot of things went down this episode, so let's break things down bit by bit. First of all, we kind of finally learn what this is all about with Reign, and it is about freaking terraforming, of course, which is interesting. This is all about making Earth into a new Krypton. What I doubt it's for everyone. It's probably just Selena and her quote unquote sisters. It's just all about them. They probably don't care too much about anyone left on Argo City because I guess they're the only survivors left of their group. Well, there's that one other lady. I don't know what. There might be others still on Argo City, just kind of laying low till things are done, and then it's like, yo, we come, we kick it, you kick it on Earth, whatever the case may be. But something that's interesting to me, I guess it wouldn't affect it. I was like, terraforming Earth to be more like Krypton, wouldn't that kind of screw up the whole superpower situation? But I was like, no, that's mainly the sun. But I would wonder if that would affect it, changing the atmosphere. Would that change like how solar? I don't know science, but I feel like that would affect how solar radiation gets to Earth and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I feel like changing the atmosphere on Earth will kind of screw with the whole superpower thing, but maybe not. Like I said, I don't know science, so I'm probably sounding like a complete and utter idiot right now. But nevertheless, it's interesting to find out that that's what this is all about. Also finding out that I was right about the whole Reign and Sam being split thing. I was right about like her coming out. Like I figured that's what the whole thing was going to be, but it didn't turn out the way I thought it was. I thought it was more specifically going to be like tear them immediately apart. They kind of work. It's like basically the essence of Reign was lifted off and kind of just out there, and they kind of summon it back up later on. It seems like they needed the blood from Purity and Pestilence because the other two are gone. The bodies are gone. They need their blood. I guess when Sam got separated from Reign, all that was Reign got ripped out. And so everything that was Purity and Pestilence either stayed somewhere in Sam or it completely disappears. What's something I'm wondering too is when it is all said and done, will Sam be like full on Kryptonian when this is all said and done, or will she be back to being just a normal human? I mean, I guess that all depends on her because it seems obviously they kind of have like a symbolic relationship because they were once whole. Now, like they're tied to each other. The stronger Reign gets, the weaker Sam gets, which is the point. Like, if we can get Sam to get stronger, we can make Reign get weaker. So that was kind of an interesting thing. I guess because they used the blood of the two, that she is back to being full on. Like she is, the whole point is she is the Trinity and everything now. So I feel kind of slightly bad for that Kovo dude. Slightly bad because like that's like 1% because he like, oh, you went through all of this and what did they do? They zap you. I don't think he's dead. He might be dead. But Selena hit him with a heat vision. I don't know if he's dead or not, but because I feel like he's too, I don't know, stubborn to die. It's just like, oh, you went through all this trouble because, like, oh, I believe you were just. It's like, in what way did you really think that they were just, you idiot? Like, I don't get your reasoning. I guess it's because, like, oh, we wipe out evil. Only thing that should be left is, oh, we are justice. But it's like, oh, it's not justice for you, you pathetic, weak human. It's for us. We, because this is about ensuring that they wipe out all evil. Like, what do they plan to do once, like, Earth has been terraformed to be more like Krypton? Like, what did they? I don't know what their ultimate plan is. Which is interesting because once again, it's that situation of like, well, wasn't that kind of what? God, I'm blanking on his name. Dude from season 1 in Astra. Isn't that what their kind of plan was for season 1? Once again, it's that situation of like, yeah, last season 1 kind of gets kind of like, that kind of gets overlooked just because it's kind of like, it's hard to say what in season 1 is 100% canon anymore. And there's some stuff here and there that's kind of been talked about, but still, it's that, once again, it's still that weird area. But nevertheless, if I remember correctly, I mean, maybe I'm completely wrong, but I could have sworn that was kind of their whole plan too, to kind of terraform Earth. I mean, to be fair, the same thing happened in Man of Steel. Like, that was kind of their whole point too, so. Before I really get to that, all that, like going back to what I was saying, I don't think Koval's dead. Maybe he is, but I'm kind of thinking like, oh no, he's going to be alive long enough to kind of help fix the mistakes that he created. It's like, oh man, me and my people, my followers, we believe so heavily in this. I'm sorry, and try to make it up to Supergirl. I don't know. Maybe he would never get the chance. Maybe him dying was just kind of the last kind of like, yeah, ironic, huh? You believe so hard in them being just and everything, and you die. I mean, to be fair, it's not like you were just either because you were just. He's like, all the people. He's like, all the people I've killed for you and stuff like that. It's like, I guess it's only right that it kind of got turned on him in the end. So, because it's interesting because like, I don't remember them ever explaining exactly why Krypton exploded because like Selena blamed, she's like, oh, it's all your fault. Like, I don't remember what the exact canon what reason for it was because I know Astra had her reasons of going about things the way she did, and Alora was kind of like, oh, I should handle things. I wish she, in retrospect, wish she handled things differently. But it, like, what exactly led to Krypton being exploded? Which, once again, I don't know how. I wonder how they're going to handle that, considering there is the show Krypton right now. So it's like, I feel like that'd be stepping on the toes of that a little bit. Maybe that would be kind of something that comes up in the future. But it's kind of like, why specifically her being blamed for that? I guess it's one of those situations of like, Astra and the others kind of knew what was coming, and you know, Alora and a lot of other people kind of shut them up about it. That's kind of a whole thing. So it was kind of apparently the reason why there's a problem between the L's and the Zods because of that same situation. But nevertheless, it's just kind of interesting. So it isn't about preserving all Kryptonia. It's just their people is specifically, you know, the Dark Kryptonians, their whole thing. It's a sad situation that the dude Demos died. Like, that sucked hard, especially because it's like because he's doing his hero moment thing of he has the blood samples, but he got hit by 3 heat visions. Yeah, even when shield wasn't enough to like protect him from it. It's just, which even when taking it hard for him, it's like, you know, because for him, it's like, oh yeah, my technology is going to change the world. I'm so smart. And it's like, yeah, in the end, like the thing he's good at could protect someone, could protect a friend of his, you know? And I think that's what, because he feels the most responsible for his friend dying. It's like, no, because he believed in me that like I would protect him with my tech, and it's like I didn't, I failed. Like the one thing I'm good at, I failed at it. So it hits him pretty hard. I also can't shy away from Alex kicking some serious Kryptonian ass in this episode. Holy crap, dude. Like, she got armed up with some Kryptonian bullets. I guess she kept some of Lena's stuff on stash. Just kind of interesting that was hidden away. Maybe it's because it's like, well, that was okay because like Kara knew she had that hidden away because it's like, oh, we could still use this against Rain. So, I mean, that hasn't circled back around. It might just be from the last stash that they had when it came to, well, no, I guess they still kept some in reserve, and so Alex had some, but put some bullets in, some Kryptonians, using the magnetic, well, her gloves is kind of holding, like, it just, she went all badass, like, by going toe to toe with Kryptonians, and that's just kind of super badass, especially when she runs up and drop kicks both of them. I'm like, dude, Alex going in doing some damn work, dude, that's sick. I also love that weird bit where it's kind of like Kara's talking through like the hologram of Alora, and it's like, when it's me, it's like, how do we know she's really Kara? Maybe we should ask her a question. What's the name of your first cat? It's like, we all know she's like Streaky. No, that's an easy thing. Everybody knows. Was that her first cat? Like, because didn't she have a cat like recently named Streaky? Maybe that was something in the past that she was talking about Streaky. I don't remember. He's one of those wonder pets, like Crypto, the super dog. She has Streaky, the super cat. Was that something on Krypton? I could have sworn that was something on Earth, wasn't it? Yeah, because, I mean, does Krypton have pets? I mean, not that we've seen so far in the show Krypton, but nevertheless. I definitely remember that coming up. I think I remember now. God, it was bothering your crap. I remember where it's when we were inside of her brain, like during the mid-season premiere, when Brainy was inside her head, and she's like, "Oh, Streaky!" Like either it was Streaky himself or it was a picture of him. I was like, "That's what it was." Because I was like, "When did they reference that?" I was like, "I know they referenced it. Maybe they've referenced it in the past, but that's the most recent example of it." I was like, "Where did I feel like I heard that before?" So that was kind of a nice touch. I also love that Wynn went out of his way to not believe her. It's like, why would? Well, I get you're thinking like, oh, the program's going a little crazy, but like, why would the program say such specific things? So he had to go get Alex to verify. It's just kind of a weird turn of events. And speaking of Alora, it's kind of pretty awesome that she's on Earth. It's kind of interesting. I mean, obviously the machine shut down, like obviously because they were through, but part of me wonders like, is that supposed to kind of allude to the fact that the portal's kind of messed up? I mean, the question is also like, when it's all said and done, what will Kara or Alora do? Will she, I mean, I guess it all depends on Kara. Because a lot of stuff has to be determined, like what's going to happen to Argo City when this is all said and done. I'm sure it's going to stay out there. I mean, we might have Kryptonians come. I mean, you can't. I mean, that's going to be crazy because if you do have Kryptonians come to Earth, there's going to have that whole yellow sun situation. And then if other Kryptonians find out about that, maybe they'd be more inclined to decide to come to Earth because it's just kind of like, oh, we can kind of do whatever we want to here. That might turn it into an issue on its own. Probably not. I doubt, you know, because that's almost like saying like every Kryptonian is an asshole. There's only a handful of Kryptonians that are assholes about that whole situation. I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to come to this planet and rule it as gods. Like, there's only a handful who think like that, like Zod or dudes from season 1 in Astra. and the Dark Kryptonians right now. So, like I said, a handful. So, also I like the fact is that she's all suited up and everything like that. I wonder, does she I don't know, the fact that she has a specific suit. I mean, I'm sure it's kind of like a Kryptonian, I'm sure she can't fight in her normal attire, so which is going to be interesting because I kind of got spoiled, but there was like a set photo. I forgot where I saw it from. Was it like the DC YouTube channel? I saw it somewhere, and it was just kind of like a set photo, which I'm assuming it comes from next episode. It's just like a whole bunch of people in front of it, and I forgot that I remember seeing her in that suit, which is like, yo, meaning she's probably going to start doing fighting too. I mean, she is Kryptonian, so. But all the while this is happening, you have Sam we see the beginnings of her going into the Dark Valley to try and find this fountain. There's two actually, one that strengthens and one that weakens. So she's trying to find a fountain so that they can get the advantage over Rain. Well, like I said, when it's interesting, I'm curious to see when it's all said and done. Like, will Sam, Kryptonian side completely disappear once Rain is dead? Because that might be the only Kryptonians that's left. Because interestingly enough, that kind of alludes, we finally kind of figure out, oh yeah, what Rain's whole situation is about. That's why her power doesn't come from the sun. Her power comes from, this fountain and stuff like that. So her powers are derived from something else entirely. Like I said, why her physiology is similar to a Kryptonian's, but very different. It's maybe the same thing applies to Sam and stuff like that. I mean, who knows? Maybe Sam still has the remnants of what's going on. I mean, obviously, in the grand scheme of things, when you actually think about time travel and stuff like that, obviously things do work out because obviously we haven't had Brainy or Imra come back. So things in the future must still be okay since they have not circled back around. To be fair, Mon-El hasn't called them, but the fact, you get what I'm trying to say. So everything kind of works out in the end. So, I mean, you kind of already know that ahead of time. You kind of hope for the best anyway. So all that's happening, we have Morin and John doing the reach, and it's this giant bubble, aura circles them, kind of showcasing memories, all memories that Morin has of good and bad memories. But for John, even the good memories still hurt because it's just a reminder that soon his dad will be gone. So it's a lot to kind of take in. But it's Morin's hoping that this will bring John balance because it's John is going to be also, it's kind of a heavy weight to burden to bear as well, because it's he will be holding on to all that is Krypton. Not Krypton, all that is Mars on his shoulder, their religion, their history, their past, everything that Morin knows, memories of their family, all of that will reside in John. And I'm curious to see what that means going forward for John, because his dad said oh yeah, this will help you, this will bring you more balance, so I'm curious to see what that kind of really manifests itself as. I mean, obviously it gets interrupted, but Morin is helping out with the fight too, so hopefully it doesn't turn into a situation where things happen before the reach is completed, they're partway through it. So, as he did say an interesting thing where basically he wants to go to a certain spot so he can take on the shapeshift into the earth, so he can kind of mind meld with it essentially to kind of keep everything copacetic. I've been using that word a lot lately. I feel like I've definitely used it once fairly recently. Nevertheless, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that kind of plays out going forward. Also, the question of what is Mon-El going to do? Because even him and Wynn started talking about it, because he was kind of yeah, I lost her once before, I can't do it again. And Wynn's oh, when you get back here, forget Rain. We need to take a drink. Obviously, Allura and Kara are talking, and the whole situation is she talks about the whole Mon-El situation being complicated. So, which Allura hoping that time could be set aside so they could sit down and talk about that complication. So it's kind of interesting because I had a feeling that they were going to make themselves into world killers themselves, but no, it's just it didn't cross my mind to think, all right, with Selena and her sisters, it's all right, they're Kryptonians, all they need to do is just absorb the yellow sun, they're good. It's right. I'm very curious to see how this all plays out in the next episode, because the next episode is the season finale. You have Rain racing to the core with that sword in hand to kind of basically disrupt and do the whole terraforming thing. And we see buildings in National City already falling apart. So I'm curious to see what happens in the long run. It's actually kind of interesting when you think about it in retrospect. I feel each of the superhero shows, I feel this is the one that's the most Earth is in most trouble, I guess, because it deals with aliens and stuff. So a lot of the threats end up being worldwide. Like the others, like, even Green Arrow, things kind of stay on a smaller scale. They still kind of have the worldwide effects, but more so it's about a city. The Flash borderlines, because he bounces back and forth sometimes. Especially when you're dealing with speedsters, that could just be the entire Earth in trouble too. Legends, kind of borderline in the same thing too, so, but I feel like overall, like outright, Supergirl tends to deal with the Earth more often. And I was thinking like, oh man, it's so crazy that this has such an Earth-wide threat. And then I was like, all right, but basically the past few seasons have had the same situation too, but nevertheless, I'm very interested to see how this all goes down. Like I said, I get the feeling, like from the set photo I saw, which I don't remember it as well exactly what was in it, but nevertheless, all the warriors are going to come together for this fight to put an end to Reign and the Dark Kryptonians once for all. I'm curious to see how that all plays out and just how this whole season wraps up. Where are these storylines going to, how are they going to wrap up with each one? Obviously, you have the whole Alex situation too. We still got to consider too, because their whole like, oh yeah, we touched on that a little bit this episode too, the whole adoption situation. So, where will she stand at the end of this season? Is she leaving the DEO behind? We'll have to wait and see. Also, when? Because after this episode, like, even after this, when this fight's all said and done, after what happened to Demos, he might not want to kind of work there. So we might not see the DEO necessarily be in the same state that it has been throughout. We might see some things kind of shape up and change up, but especially with changes that John has made with the whole, like, we kind of allude to it this episode, the changes he made last episode about like non-lethal weapons and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens in the season finale. I'm very interested to see what goes down. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.